Hare Krishna. Welcome to Saturday Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 2. We have done first 8 verses of chapter 2, which is contents of Gita summarized. And this particular section that we are on, it is Arjuna's further doubts. And he has been asking these doubts since first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And this is where we are into, where Krishna is absolutely chastising Arjun and saying that you have becoming uh, Hridaya Daurbalyam, the quality that you are showing, that it is the miserliness that you are showing. You are behaving like you're an imported. This is a kshudram behavior, you know. So this kind of behavior is only seen on the people, those who are not very strong as far as their thinking is concerned. They're not reasonably thinking, and they are struggling to understand what they are actually on. And that's where I can see that you are behaving at the moment. And because of that behavior, I'm really astonished here that how what kind of questions that you are asking and how these kind of questions can come to your mind. You are such a warrior, and a warrior like person should not be asking these questions at all. And because of this kind of questions, you are making me, think that, oh, are you really the same warrior, the Parantapa, who is talking to me? And why Krishna is using these words in order to awake Arjun that and remind him of his his powers, his uh, uh, his all the other attributes because of which he has been called a Parantapa, because of which he has been called the a great warrior, and he is talking like that. Krishna didn't like it, when he's asking such question. So let's see what he says in verse 8 now. Um, I will chant, you repeat. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyad
न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्याद्
yaschokam yachchodam indriyanam
यश्चोकं मुश्चोत्सनम् इन्द्रियाणाम्
indriyanam avapya bhubava asaptanam riddhim
अवाप्य भूमावसपत्नं वृद्धम्
rajam suranam api chadhipatyam.
राज्यं
राज्यं
सुराणाम्
सुराणाम्
अपि च
अपि
तिपत्यम्.
पातिपद्यम्।
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So now he is giving another feeling of him, that what he thinks in his mind, that even if I am able to win a battle where there is no rival in front of me, and I am driving away the kingdom on this earth, and I have been all the prosperity. So that kind of grief that I have, it is drying up my senses. So he becomes, absolutely uh, useless situation wherein he is not able to control his feelings, and that's where he is into. So there are various things that he is showing up. There are physical issues at this point in time when his mouth is drying up, his hands are shaking, and he's not able to control his emotions. So there are physical issues, there are emotional issues, and there are spiritual issues. So I don't want to discuss the physical and emotional because they are pretty easy to understand that on the physical level, We often think about physical level protection, that is physical gratification, physical titillation like roti, kapda, makan, these are important, no doubt. We need them at a physical level for survival. However, on the emotional level, that is the material level, what we see is that his voice is choking, his mouth is drying up. He has, you know, or someone has, everyone goes through these kind of situations in their life. Like when a daughter, gets married and goes to her husband's house at the first time, how the father of the daughter or the mother of the daughter or the sister, brother, everyone, they come to a situation where they all start choking up and they see that their own daughter is leaving the house and going to somebody else's house, third party, and they are doubtful about many things that our daughter, she was not able to express herself to us. Now, if she's going to a third party's house, how is she going to share her fears, her emotions, everything, and how is she going to be, uh, is she going to live there without us? And how are we going to live without her? So I'm just giving an analogy so that you can realize that what kind of pain it is when it is the emotional issue comes, you know. As long as we are living away from the parents is a different issue because we still have in mind, oh, they are there. I can always call them up and ask, speak to them and do this, do that. Time is changing, no doubt about it. But there was a time when daughter used to leave the house only once. That is when she's getting married. Are we? Are you with me on this one? That
Yeah.
what kind of emotional turmoil that goes through, or when someone passes from one body, his body. Saloni Mataji has recently gone through twice.
Yes.
Oh.
I have gone through this when my father passed away. So that is the biggest pain that one can, you know. So that's on physical level, then emotional level, and then there is another thing which is saya, chatra chaya. You are living in the chatra chaya of father, though he is away from you. You are living separately in a different country altogether. But when that happens, we all come to that emotional state, emotional breaking state where it is not controllable. That's where we get the surrender, and we have to surrender. We have to take the shelter of Shastra because Shastra explains the things very nicely, and that Shastric point is a takeaway for us, and we have to understand what the Shastra says. So, now on the spiritual level, if we try to understand, so our emotional level is between material and spiritual. So we can get emotions about material things, we can get emotions about spiritual things. So when we get emotions about spiritual things like Krishna and Krishna's devotees, those emotions lift us up. So if we take it this way, that I'm leaving my some relative who is very close to my heart is leaving this world, but he is only leaving the body. His soul is still there. Soul never dies. Soul never cuts into pieces. Yeah. So the body may be dying, but the soul is still going to be there. But can you see the soul? No, we cannot see the soul. But still, if we look at on the spiritual level, when we transcend ourselves from material to spiritual level, then we look at it and then understand, that, oh yeah, though he's leaving the body. We did have the attachment to the bodily existence of a person. But now, when we come to the spiritual level, we understand there is a spiritual existence and which is immortal, right? So the thing which is immortal, it is always going to be there. So the emotional dragging that happens and the emotional drag which is brings us down, that can be lifted us if we look at from the spiritual perspective, and that can happen only through the Shastra. Yeah. Deepa, do you want to say anything about this one, which I explained?
All good, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Devlina?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay. No, I'm not doing election ki kitne log हाँ बोल रहे हैं, kitne log ना बोल रहे हैं.
Nah, it's clear what you say, and it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is we can understand by sitting here that,
Yeah.
oh, yes, this is the spiritual level on which we can understand that, yes, physically the person may not be here, but on a spiritual level, the person is still there because the Atma never dies.
But still, I think it still takes a long time to like accept it. Like
Yes.
even it comes in
Yeah.
this bits and pieces. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might think, okay, yeah, this is spiritual
Yes.
and everything, but there comes a point when you like totally disregard and say, oh, I don't care. Like the person is not there, so like it's causing me trouble. So
I mean, the
yeah, it
biggest
comes.
pain that one of us has gone through is Devlina. She lost her mother when she was very small.
Oh.
And I mean, I can understand what kind of pain she must have gone through at that time, just
Yeah,
left behind and only with father, only daughter left.
yeah.
So I didn't want to talk about that pain right now, but just want to make a realization, so everyone thinks I can understand, And that's the reason my classes take time, Saloni Bataji, because I talk about the real examples. If I just read the book and just go away, then it's not going to really make any sense to anyone, because it should touch the heart. It touch the mind. Then the point is clear. It makes, real sense, and we take away something when we go home. Yes, now, yes, I understand now. I can relate this to this. I can relate that to that. Yeah, okay. So the spiritually, when we see that, then the person is always there. And because we don't consider only the physical existence of the person as the only existence. And that's the reason why we have the emotions which are attached to the body can transcend or can transition to the spiritual.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just had one question, Prabhuji.
yes, please. Yes, please.
Of course, this whole concept is a bit complex, we know, but this whole Bhagavad Gita, by reading and things become simplified, by the end we finish. But just wanted to ask this question, like this concept of thinking that this soul is permanent, whereas this body is something that's temporary, which the soul takes, and every birth we take the same soul, it just takes another body and things like that. But in this life where I'm, of course, attachment is very, because this is material, we are very, like, the kind of human we are, there are attachments. Like I have my husband, I have my parents, I have a kid, and things like that. Anything happens to them, right? So thinking that it is a soul which is permanent, our body, it's not. How do we like kind of train our mind to make sure that, I know it's not one day process, but how do we train our mind to believe that, and when it happens to yourself, you are ready to face it? Is there
Yeah,
a
yeah. See, I mean, we can only give the relative examples. For example, today you might be having a Camry, Toyota Camry. Yeah, we love our car as long as that car is with us.
yeah.
When we sell that car and buy a new car, what is important? The joy of new car, or is the loss of the old car
Mm.
if you are selling it off as well, so that can happen. So the joy of buying a new car and the loss of the car which is going away. We were loving that car, but now the new car is there. So we are getting the happiness there. And it is minimizing the loss of the old car. That is one example. Second example, your car meets with an accident without your mistake. Somebody comes and hits, and your car is right off. Okay, so this scenario, these two scenarios. But in that scenario, you are getting the money from the insurance company to buy a new car. How your emotions will transcend or transition during this phase. Yes, I will
Yeah.
cry. I will feel bad about it that my car met with an accident and it is written off now.
Yeah.
I feel very bad about it because I used to love my car.
But
It never
will
gave
I be
me.
able to
It
same
never gave
comparison
me.
of car versus some
Yeah,
life
I'm
that
just
you?
trying
Yeah.
to give an analogy.
Yeah.
So now when you are leaving the house and then coming to the new family, you have children. Yeah. Now what happens is your love is getting distributed. Okay. You started loving your children more than as to compared to your siblings. Yeah. Your parents.
Things transcend.
Distance.
Yeah.
That distance creates a lesser love than to your children. Children are more close to your heart. Husband, children, parents, siblings. Siblings becomes a distant relationship by that time. Parents are still closer than your husband and children. Am I right? I mean, you don't have to agree with me.
No, you're right.
You're
right.
I'm just throwing the scenarios here. You may agree or may not agree. How I see the situation is this way. Okay, so I gave you example of the car. I gave you the example of the relationship.
Yeah.
How it turns. Yeah. So slowly we train our mind, and the mind gets trained automatically. You don't have to force it.
Yeah.
It automatically trains itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we start to act in that way. Yeah. So does it make sense now?
Yeah, it does.
Anyone else? Devi and Saroni?
Yeah.
No, I think it's not always automatic. I think you yourself have to give yourself a lot of counseling as to
Yes,
how
sir.
to
You have
adapt.
to. And that happens automatically. I agree with you. But automatically that happens. See, whether it is happening automatically or you are taking the shelter of a psychologist or elder to you people in the family, or you are taking shelter of the Shastra. See, that's why the family support system comes into place, where you go to your other close ones to take the support and then uplift your morale, wherein you can still stand still and face the situation. When your close ones is dead and dead body is lying in front of you and you are left alone there, can you act? हाथ पांव फूल जाएंगे, कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. Isn't it? So that time you need a support. And if really nobody is there and you are in desert and this happens, you have to do it. You have to bring some strength in yourself to do it. And that happens.
God, yes.
And that strength comes from
God.
Almighty, Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, whatever you want to call it.
I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a question? Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Like we feel sad when we lose somebody.
Yeah.
The same way, the spiritual people, because they know that person body has gone, the soul is still there. So they
Hmm.
also do feel sad. They feel sad, or they feel okay if someone leaves them.
No, of course, they do feel sad. Ultimately, they are human beings. See, the Maharajas, etc., the sannyasis, they also go through the emotional upheaval.
Hmm.
Because we don't get that closeness to them and ask them that, are you okay? They also need someone. See, sannyasis, because they are into men's body, a lady cannot go closer to them or they cannot take shelter of a lady, does not mean that they don't need the support. Anyone is required to put the hand on their back. Hi, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Can I help you in some way? It's easy to say, oh, Krishna is there to take care of them. But how? Krishna, through his devotees, only can
In
come and
form,
help them.
yeah, in form of devotees.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I had asked this question to my Guru Maharaj as well. And he said, yes, we do need that support. But our distance to devotees and disciples becomes so great that no one
Oh,
dares come that close to us because of respect. And that so-called respect creates a distance. So amongst Maharajas, there is a devotee care layer is required to be done. Amongst brahmacharis, there has to be devotee care layer has to be created. Amongst Matajis, there has to be devotee care layer to be created.
I think even the question was, does the soul itself
Yeah.
cries, or it gets that
Yeah.
pain when it leaves the body? Say, for example, if a mother is dead, leaving its small child, for some reason, she met with an accident, she died. So does that soul cry in pain?
Okay, so soul is a neutral entity.
Mhm.
Okay, but it has I mean, there are two types of bodies. One is subtle body, the gross body.
Yeah.
Gross body contains only the flesh and bones and blood, etc. Okay, and the subtle body has three things together. Mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Yeah.
So mind, which is the brain, right? Intelligence, which is developed around. Who plays the major role in that is the brain plays the major role. The society plays the other role in
Yeah.
that by training it. The person, the soul, which is the consciousness, that keeps it conscious and allows brain to grasp whatever is coming by that intelligence, and intelligence is getting developed. The false ego is the position in which the person is. False ego meaning uh, your situation, whether you're a father or a mother or a collector or a minister or a manager,
mm.
whatever. So that is false ego.
Mm.
That position, so that position actually becomes you sometime. When a person is in the position of authority, he thinks that I'm always in authority. So when he comes home, he thinks that he is like somebody is a high court judge. He will always think that I'm a high court judge. Is that true? No, it's not true. When he
Right.
comes home, he is a husband. He is a father. He is a papa to someone, who is a dad to someone, right? He also has a daughter. Daughter-dad relationship will not be oh my lord. No, come on, dad. I want to live with you. Let's have a coffee together. But in the court, he is
Yeah.
in a different position altogether. Am I able to answer your question? People?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
subtle body and the gross body, the difference, and the subtle body takes three things with it: mind, intelligence, false ego.
Mm.
Okay, so false ego goes the moment the body has left the
Left
soul.
the.
Okay. So the false ego goes away. But the intelligence that developed, that goes to the next
With the soul.
body.
So can that intelligence have affection?
Yeah.
So which means it will be in pain if that soul is a mother of a child.
Yeah.
So how does that soul kind of
But
manage?
the soul does not see, soul takes the gender in which body it goes to.
Oh, further it goes to. Yeah.
Right. So as female's gender soul comes out and goes into a male gender next life.
Oh, it can happen.
Yeah, because the intelligence that has been developed has that caring attitude of a mother. Sometimes you might have seen that some fathers are very caring. Some mothers are very careless. So how these gunas are coming,
Yeah.
Yeah. So requires a lot of practice, a lot of reading required in this place because it is quite, psychological in nature when we go deeper into this subject and more deeper into subject because it is not easy for me to explain that in one class.
Correct. Yeah.
I will have to give probably another 15 days of classes, on this one. But yes, definitely the science is quite developed. And, and that's where all the properties of remembrance, then, remembrance as well as the acknowledgement and the awakening of the heart is required. So that's where you need a guru. And this is where we are exactly in this chapter, where Krishna is chastising Arjun, and Arjun is coming out of those fears, but slowly.
Yeah.
So if we look at the bhakti aspect, so ninth, ninth verse of the chapter, that is, I'm going to chant it and you recite it after me. Beautiful verse. Please make sure that you by heart this verse. It answers you who the Krishna is. Kavyam Puranam Anushasitaram. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, is it the ninth one, Guruji?
Yeah.
Ninth, Eva Mukta
Eva Muktam Rishikesham.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Are you testing,
Sorry,
Prabhuji, if we are
sorry.
attentive?
No, I think
Good strategy, Prabhuji.
yeah.
I think you've got another book open. The pen.
Because so many pages are
Classic.
open on this one. My notes I created, and then somehow I went into another chapter.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, ninth verse. Okay, 7, 8, 9. Sanjay Uvacha
Sanjay
Uvacha.
Eva Mukta Rishikesham
Eva Mukta Rishikesham.
Rishikesham.
Gudakesha Parantapa
Gurakeshah Parantapa.
Na Yotsya Iti Govindam
Nayotsya iti Govindam.
Mukta Tushnim Babuvaha
Tatva
Tushim Babuvaha.
E Sanjay Uvacha
Sanjay
Sanjay
Uvacha.
Eva Mukta Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa
Eva
Evam
Mukta
Muktava
Rishikesham.
Rishikesham.
Gurakeshah Parantapa.
Na Yotsya Iti Govindam Mukta Tushnim Babuvaha
न
न
योत्स्य
युक्ता इति
इति
गोविन्दम्
गोविन्दम्
उक्त्वा
उक्त्वा
तूष्णीं बभूवः
Sanjaya Uvacha
Sanjay
सञ्जय उवाच
उवाच
एवमुक्ता ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तपः न त्युत्स इति गोविन्दं मुक्ता तुष्णी बभूवः
एवम्
एवमुक्त्वा
उक्त्वा
ऋषिकेशं
ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेश
गुडाकेशः परन्तपः
परन्तपः न
न
योत्स्या
योत्स्य इति
इति
गोविन्दम्
गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा
उक्त्वा
तुष्णीं
बभूवः
बभूवः.
Okay. Each one of you, please chant
Oh my God.
individually. Go on.
Okay,
Okay.
I will start.
Yeah, start with Madhuri.
सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः
Yeah, Devila.
सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्ता त्वऋषिकेशं गुणाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्याय इति गोविन्दम् उक्ता त्वतुषी बभूवः
Deepa.
सञ्जय उवाच एवम् उक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्या इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः.
Uday Prabhu.
Prabhu, actually, I'm a bit out of practice at the moment, and also 8 point. I've got the book, but I don't know exactly which page we are on.
You're on 76 page.
76.
It may
Every
be
book is
different.
different.
Might be different.
Depends on the
Mine is
Oh.
edition.
73.
Oh, is it? Okay, it's not this.
Chapter 2, verse 9.
Chapter 2, verse. Yep, found it. Thank you. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Uktva Rikesham Guda Keshaha Parantapa Nayotsa iti Govindam Uktva Tusnim Babuvaha.
Sarun, do you want to give it a try or pass?
I'll give it a try.
Okay, go on.
Sanjaya Uvacha Ivam Ukta Rishikesham Gudakeshaha Parantapa Nayochya iti Govindam Ukva Tusnim Bhuvaha Ha.
Okay, wonderful. Deepa, please read the purport.
Oh, okay. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family's affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamination resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end.
Wonderful. So look how Dhritarashtra is still thinking in his mind, that somehow, Arjuna said that, no, I don't want to fight, and they just go away from the battlefield because in the heart of heart, Dhritarashtra knew that they are going to lose the battle anyway if Arjun decides to fight. So every time, when it is getting delayed, he's thinking, oh, they are still discussing. So what is the result of that, their discussion? Is he saying that that I don't want to fight anymore because I have already mentally lost the fight because I have so many issues in my mind and I don't want to fight anymore. So evam yukta, having spoken thus, Rishikesham, Who is Rishikesha? Rishikesham is the one who is the master of all the senses. Rishikesham. Rishikesha means the one who is the master of all the Rishi. Rishi means all our senses, all our nerves on our bodies. He is the master of all that. Rishikesham. So when I'm when suffix come, it is to that person. It is spoken, and a suffix comes, that person is speaking. Yeah. So Rishikesham is and Gudakesha is speaking. Rishikesha is Lord of senses and Gudakesha is Lord of sleep. Who is the Lord of sleep, Devika?
Arjuna.
Devilina, who is Lord of Gudakesha?
Lord of Gudakesh, Krishna. Gudakesh is Arjun,
Hmm.
but Lord is Krishna.
So to Rishikesham, okay, and Gudakesha is speaking to Rishikesha. So who is the Gudakesha? Arjun is speaking to whom? To
Who's conquered the
Rishikesham.
sleep. That's right.
So the Lord of senses and Gudakesha is Lord of sleep. So actually both of them are Isha, but one is Isha is a higher than other. So although Arjun has conquered on sleep, he is still Jiva and he is getting conquered by other forms of ignorance, other forms of illusions, parantapaha. So it is interesting that here Arjun is using one word to glorify Krishna, but Sanjay is using two words to glorify Arjun, Gudakesha and Parantapa. Parantapa means the one who is a warrior, and he who has never lost any battles so far. So Parantapa, so is the material nature is such that even a person who is Gudakesha and Parantapa can be dragged down and can be dropped to knees, can be made to feel helpless. That is happening here. And the next is that na yotcha iti govindam. So that Gudakesha, which is frozen by indecision, now he is saying na yotcha iti govindam. I will not fight. I will not fight. And then yuktva tushnim, he spoke thus, and babuva. And after speaking thus, he becomes silent. So yuktva came twice. So first yuktva refers to what is spoken earlier in previous verses. So that verses are verse number 4 to verse number 8 above. Yeah, if you can refer to them. So that is what Arjuna has spoken now. So na yotsya iti govindam. So he has spoken to Govinda, na yotsya, O Govindam, I will not fight. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport, what is saying, he has mentioned that Dhritarashtra is delighted, but that was not, it was for a very short time. And then as soon as Sanjaya opens the secret, he again get all his hopes have gone down, gone in the bin. So he's delighted, but that was for a very short time, short-lived happiness. So Rishikesha and Govinda, he will bring the senses in control if that has gone out of control. So he will give Arjun satisfaction by engaging him in devotion services. So now see what happens next is what, Sanjay is telling him. So Rishikesha is quite capable of bringing the hopes up of a person who is dragged, into emotions and in becoming indecisive of fighting, etc. Yeah. So this is, where continuous commentary that is happening, Doordarshan, Aankhon Dekha Samachar. So it is what is, he's doing. What is the name? Sanjaya to Krishna, to Dhritarashtra. What is happening in the
battlefield. Kurukshetra.
Kurukshetra. Next verse. Tamuvacha Rishikeshah
तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः
Sahasiniva Bharata
प्रहसन्नीव
प्रहसन्नेव
भारत
भारत
Senayorubayormadhye
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
Vishidantam idam vachah
विषीदन्तम्
विषीदन्तमिदं वचः
Tamuvacha Rishikeshah
तमुवाच
तमुवाच
ऋषिकेशः
ऋषिकेशः
Sahasiniva Bharata
प्रहसन्निव भारत
प्रहसन्नेव
भारत
भारत
Drissenayorubayormadhye
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
Vishidantam idam vachah
विषिदन्तम्
इदं
विषीदन्तमिदं
वचः
वचः
तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्नीव भारत
तम् उवाच
तमुवाच ऋषिकेश
ऋषिकेशः
प्रहसन्निव
प्रहसन्निव
भारत
भारत
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषिदन्तम् इदं वचः
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
विषिदन्तम्
विषीदन्तम्
विषीदन्तमिदं
इदं
वचः
वचः
Yeah. Devna.
तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्नव भारतः सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषिदन्तम् इदं वचः
This Prahasiniva Bharata, okay?
प्रहसिन्
Prahasiniva.
प्रहसिन्निव
Prahasaniva.
प्रहसन्निव
Right. Okay, Madhuri.
तम् उवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्नीव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः
Wonderful. Deepa.
तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तम् इदं वचः
Wonderful. So, the translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O descendant of Bharata, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following verse to the grief-stricken Arjun. Now, the Arjun is going to start speaking, Krishna is going to speak to Arjun in the following verse, and he is actually only giving the situation where what is happening there and where are they at the moment standing, because this is what Sanjay is telling to whom? Is telling it to Dhritarashtra. That tam uvacha, unto that person spoke Rishikesha. So Rishikesha spoke like this. So that's what is he explaining it to Dhritarashtra. So because the talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and the Godakesha. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other, and Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position as the master of everyone, and yet the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son or a lover for a devotee who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master and with gravity as it is required by a spiritual master. So it appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all, every community. And friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them. But how many have taken the benefit of that is the question. Yeah? So I don't think we require any explanation of on this verse. Do we?
No.
Okay. Let's move to verse number 11 when the Bhagavan starts to speak. Verse number 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Ashocchadidvashocastvam
Ashochanam
Ashochananvashocasvam
Ashochatsvam
Pradhyavadamscha bhashase
Prajnavadam
Prajnavadamscha
Gatasuna gatasuscha
Gatasuna Gatasuscha
Gatasuna
Nanushochanti panditah.
Nanum
Nachochanti
Sochanti
Panditaha
Shri
Panditaha.
Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri
Shri
Bhagavan.
Bhagavanuvacha
Ashochananvashocastvam Pradhyavadamscha bhashase
Ashochananvashocasvam
Ashochananvashocasvam
Prajnavadascha Bhashase
Gatasuna gatasuscha Nanushochanti panditah.
Gatas
Gatasuna Gatasuscha Nanushocanti
Panditaha.
Panditaha
Yeah, this is the last time. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashochananvashocastvam Pradnyavadamscha bhashase Gatasuna gatasuscha Nanushochanti panditah.
Shri
Bhagavanuvacha
Bhagavanuvacha
Ashochananvashocasvam
Ashochananvashocasvam Prajnavadascha
Prajnavadamscha
Bhashase
bhashase
Gatasuna
Gatasuna
Gatasuscha
Nanum
Nanushocanti
Sochanti
Panditaha
Panditaha.
Is everybody okay with the pronunciation or you want practice more?
The first line is a bit hard.
It is, it is.
First
So
word.
that's why you look at the Sanskrit as well as look at the
Yeah, the
English.
English version, yeah. In this,
Yeah,
the
so
English
that
one
you
is
get the one-to-one mapping and then you can do it. So I'll do it once more, okay? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri
Ashochat Anvashocastvam Pradnyavadamscha bhashase Gatasuna gatasuscha Nanushocanti panditah.
Shri
Bhagavanu
Bhagavanuvacha
Ashok.
Ashochananvashocasvam
Ashochatvam
Prajnavadacha
Prajnavadam
Bhashase
Bhashase Gata
Gatasuna
Nagata
Gatasuscha
Sumscha Nanu
Nanushocanti
Shochan
Panditaha
Panditaha.
Okay, Deepa.
श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोचानन्वशोचत्स्वं प्रज्ञावादंश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासुंश्च नानो शोचन्ति पण्डितः.
Excellent. Yes, Devlina.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashochyannavashochatsva Pragyavadanshcha Bhashase Gatasuna Gatasunsha Nanu Shochinta Panditaha.
Wherever there is a C, it is considered as cha.
Cha, okay.
Okay. By now you should have known this. Okay. Madhuri.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashochananvashocastvam Pragyavadascha Bhashase Gatasuna Gatasuscha Nanushocanti Panditaha
Arun, you want to give it a try? No? Okay. No problem. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For next week, this is an assignment that everyone should by heart the verse 11 without any mistake, including translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. I repeat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Madhuri, do you want to read the purport?
Yeah. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjun argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge or of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formalities. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause of lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body.
Thank you. So now let's look at the verse in a very, you know, what do you call? I will break and then I will read the Ashochan Anva Sochastam, that which is not worth lamenting. Asochan Anva Socham. So Asochan, you are lamenting for which is not worthy of lamenting. Anva Sochas, you are greatly lamenting for that. And while lamenting, Pradnyavadamscha bhashase. Your bhasha, your speech is pradnyavadam. You are speaking words which seems to
Like
be
the last one.
wise. But what is the sign of true wisdom? That is gatasuna agatasunshcha. So asun is life, air, and so gatasuna means life, air has gone away. That means when somebody is dead, agatasuna. Gatasun means where there is a life. Agatasun, when there is no life, means life has not gone away, means the person is not dead. Agatasun. Gatasun is gone. Agatasun. So, na plus anu plus sochanti. So, the word socha is coming thrice in this verse. Asochanna, anvasochas, and then nano sochanti.
Mm.
Do you get that? Na plus anu plus sochanti. So the word socha is coming thrice in this verse. Asochan, anvasochas, and then nanu sochanti. Socha, socha, socha. See how many times it's coming. So he's saying that you are Pandita. The true learned person does not lament, but you are lamenting. Nanu sochanti Pandita. So there, by he is saying you are mourning for what which is not worthy for mourning. So here Krishna sort of call bluff of Arjun. So what he does, he do? He's saying you are saying big words. Iti sahasrama. I have heard from scriptures like this. Narke niyatam vaso papameva. So we will go to hell, we will get sinned. You are speaking all these big words, but what is the practical reality? The practical reality is that you are overwhelmed by emotions. Control your emotions, man, is what he's saying. And education is not just a verbalization that is saying, I know this, I know that, I know so many chopaya from, Tulsidas's Ramayana, I know so many shlokas from Bhagavad Gita and other Upanishads, etc. But the education is transformation. You study 1,000 books, but if your transformation of heart is not happening, then what is the use of such education? So the real education is not the education of words, but the education of emotions. Educations by which we know that emotions appropriate and what emotions are not appropriate. So what emotions are real and what emotions are illusory. So when someone died, it is not that emotions are false. The person feels grief struck. They are false in the sense that they are based on bodily platform. And when emotions are uneducated, it indicates that knowledge is not internalized, but only verbalized, just for doing the lip service or the show off, which means much spiritual progress is not done. So Krishna is saying you have not internalized the spiritual knowledge. Katasuna akatasunshcha. So when soul departs from the body, along with the soul, subtle body goes, and along with subtle body, life air also goes. What is life air? Asuna refers to when life air goes away, modern scientists will say oxygen is required for survival. So they give a artificial, oxygen and try to revive. But it is not just oxygen alone, but what framework of air which is networking and coordinating for the functioning of body. So all of them together are called a pranavayu. Those circulation enables us to live and enable us to function in the body. So you might have heard of pranavayu, apanavayu, udanavayu, all these vayus. They come in Ayurveda specifically. And our people, they just take it very lightly and they say, oh, we don't believe in all this, We don't, we never believed in this because we can't see them. How can we believe that? That's how the Shastra is, So the life air, it has a framework, which is called the pranavayu, apanavayu, udanavayu. So the pranavayu is not only the oxygen, it is a complete networking and a complete framework under which the body is taken care of completely when the person is, or the uh, jiva is still alive. Subtle body is the link between soul and the gross body. Link between subtle body and the gross body is the pranavayu. That is a life air. So there are multiple links. Life air is one of them. When we are angry, stressed, and our breath becomes fast. So that's why whenever we are, very angry, people say, just sit down, breathe, take a deep breath, calm down first of all. So what does that deep breath does to us? It cools down our pranavayu, apanavayu. It is a complete framework which comes into the picture and it calms our mind down. Sometimes we have to yell on someone who is not listening to us. We have to give that shock treatment. What does it do?
Oh.
It gives a striking impact on that person. Oh, am I doing something wrong? Yes. Now he calms down slowly. And then we ask him to please start, breathe heavily. Sorry, not heavily, but take deep breath. Deep breath. Take the deep breath. And by having the deep breath, what will happen? The calming effect will start coming. So when we breathe slowly, we feel calm. So that shows that there is connection between our breathing and our emotions. And that connection is with the pranavayu. So it is the bidirectional flow of the air in our inhalation and exhalation. It has a relation with our pranavayu. So when emotions are agitated, breath becomes agitated, and vice versa. So when soul leaves the body, subtle body and life air both leaves the body. So when we can recollect Krishna, sucks not only the breast of Putana Dim when she came to feed him, through her breast milk, but he also sucks her life air through the nipples. So life air comes out and she dies. So life air allows the soul and subtle body to stay in the gross body. So we can say when life air has gone out, the person has died. So one symptom is breathing has stopped. The symptom of leaving the life air from the body is that the breathing has stopped. So that is a sign of somebody is now dead. Then we also check the pulse, etc. So there are other things by which we check it. Or we try to give artificial, what is called PIR and all that stuff, right? So we try to give that and try to evoke the person.
CPR.
Yeah. Like that. So I will stop here, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
I think this verse goes back to the conversation we had earlier today about the grieving. Someone passed away, but in here saying
that is the
we
reason.
should.
That is the reason I started from there.
Yeah.
See, I always go through the stuff before I come to the class, so that I know from where I have to start and give some intro so that you can start thinking on those lines, So
Yeah. No need to cry for those who's passed away. No need to grieve.
no, you have to,
Because
because that is the bodily emotions that has to come
yeah,
out. If they
yeah,
don't
but
come
that's
during that time, they will
natural.
reflect very badly later on.
Yeah.
That I didn't cry at that time. I should have cried. And I did not cry. That is another form of lamentation.
Mm.
And that has a double effect on us, that what people will think. I did not cry for my father passed away. They will think that I don't have any love for him. Some people go in the shock when someone passes away. They just don't even speak. They don't even talk. They just sit like this.
And don't even.
They become statue. Then they have to be given a shock treatment. Someone had to hit him or do something like that, and psychologists do all those things, or what do you call specialized doctor for doing these things, so they do it. Shock treatment. All right, I think we stop the class here. Let's do so next class we'll start the verse 12 onwards, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
And 12th verse is quite big, so be prepared. Read it before you come to the class. Also, you have to by heart the verse which I told you. Yes, all are ready with their assignment. Madhuri is always ready. One thing is very good. Chapter number, introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 6. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhubhya eva cha. Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Prevarande Hari Hari.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thanks,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Next week, same time, 2:30?
Yeah. I'm not changing the time anymore.
Okay.